Sensational Saturday, everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of the D Word, brought to you by the Divorce Dynasty. This is Furley Almonte, your host, with now my co host, Carolina Denhard. She's always, serving others. So it's always a treat to have her with us. But anyway, you know that the Divorce Dynasty is an amazing group of vetted professionals here to serve you as you go through a life transition, especially divorce. And oftentimes, through your life transitions, you also go through career transitions. And today we have a spectacular guest who I actually had the honor of being able to hear talk at a networking event, actually I would say a good 5 6 years ago, and she is so unforgettable because she makes it very funny, she makes it very relevant. She's an international best-selling author, and she is an executive and leadership coach who is here to help you move through career transitions during these challenging times. Well, welcome, Carolina. Would you like to
Hi,
say a few words
Carly,
and introduce?
Carolina.
Yes,
Thank you
absolutely.
for having
Today is
me. Thank you for
today
having me.
today is a wonderful morning because as we have Susan back, who for many years hesitated getting involved in Divorce Dynasty, as so many do because of the D word, right? Divorce. It has such a sometimes negative connotation. But just this morning, I debuted on Wake Up with Marcy as a legal contributor, and we found a way to talk about divorce in a positive way, signifying growth, right? Because whether you are
Mhm.
divorcing a job that you are unhappy with, a friendship you're unhappy with, or a relationship you're unhappy with, or just something within yourself you want to change, it means that you're ready for growth. And when I met Susan years ago, she was obviously helping people get to the next level because they felt that they were ready to spread their wings. What a scary time for someone to realize that where they are is no longer comfortable. So, Furley, you're 100% correct that we're not just talking about, I hate you, you hate me, you cheated on me, I'm out of here. We're talking about a phase in your life where you feel you want to morph into another person. And Susan, having gone through your own story in life, I think that your focal point and vision is to help people identify not their shortcomings, but their strengths to become the
Mhm.
best version of who they are. So, can you just tell us, because I always dub you as the Melanie Griffith of the 80s, your career started at a place where people really were struggling in an economy that was struggling, and you had to become the fixer. So, if for a moment you could just take us back there, and obviously we'll end with the incredible work that you do today.
Mhm. So there were so many different starts. But I think, are you referring, Carolina, to when I started initially the contract staffing business in the late 80s when
Yes,
people
yes.
were
When
losing their
nobody was
jobs?
thinking that. Yeah, you
Right.
found a niche and you found a solution.
Right. And I really thought that I was never going to be able to stay in the employment industry or help anybody ever find a job again. And, I did my own, and I would say this to your audience, you have to invest in yourself, because if you don't invest in you, nobody else is going to. So as an entrepreneur, solopreneur, an executive, you have to constantly be in front of where you want to go. But what happened was that in the late 80s, early 90s, companies went through a bloodbath, and the management pain that they experienced from firing all these people left them not really just they had cut more than into the meat of the company. They had actually cut into the bone. So I called them anorexic. They were anorexic companies. So the minute someone went on maternity leave or a new project came up, they had no one. And in my journey of hiring a consultant, actually somebody from Great Britain, where the concept of the interim executive actually started, we went ahead, we forged ahead, and we started pitching this. And it was such a new idea back in the day because people were still wanting to place people. And please don't ever use the word permanent job. There's no such thing as a permanent job. There's nothing permanent in life, whether it's marriage or your job or whatever. So we have two kinds of jobs now. We have full-time, and those accrue benefits. And then we have contract, freelance, consultant, and those are people that come and go to the company. So it just took off like wildfire because companies really had truly cut so deeply that they could not function when one person left. And so at that time, I guess it was around 1994, seems like a long time ago, but it really was the launching point for pivoting and moving into this huge contract staffing business. And now we know at that point, people were like, what? Why would I want to take a job like that? I want a permanent job. And I'm like, well, you're not getting a permanent job because they're not out there. First of all, that's an archaic term. So you'll have to start reviewing your career more as a portfolio career. And like Carolina as an attorney, you know, she doesn't have one client every single day. She's a consultant, like an accountant. They have many clients. They come and they go. The person that does your tax return, Furley, you don't hire them all year long. So they're temps in essence. Our president is a temp, right? When you really look at how many consultants and temporary positions there are out there. So that went off gangbusters, and I was so passionate about that business. I loved what I was doing. And somewhere around the beginning of the aught of 2000, I would say it was closer to maybe mid 2000s, I just started to lose the passion for the business. The business became commoditized, and anything that's commoditized, and I would say this to your viewers, if you're in a commoditized business, good luck, because we never want to be hired because we're the cheapest. We want to be hired because we can provide a solution to someone's problem. So at that time, I made a huge pivot, and I myself, again, went out, talked to people. I found myself out in Scottsdale, Arizona at a conference, and there I met the woman who became my coach for the next 2 years, because I went through you can imagine you're a CEO of a company with 200 people, and now all of a sudden you've sold that and you want to move on and you don't know where you're going. You have no clue where you're going. So
Susan,
long
you
story.
mentioned an interesting word, which, and I'd like to pivot on off of this, coach, right? We have various coaches on the Divorce Dynasty platform: nutrition coaches, executive coaches, life coaches, divorce coaches. People hear that word so often, especially during the pandemic. Everybody needs to be coached in some way. People are lost, they're confused, they're soul searching, they're career searching. What does that word mean to you, especially a woman that was the coach, and you're saying that you reached out to a coach?
And I think, truthfully, everybody, and Furley, you're a coach. I mean, everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs a tweak. Everybody needs an objective third party to look at them. Because while we might be doing great and we're happy with where we are, there comes a time, no matter who you are, you're not, the trajectory is not like, can't see it on the camera. It's not like this for the rest of your life, right? I mean, there are peaks and valleys. And so the best time, I mean, any time is a good time, right? When you're starting something new, especially. But whether you're in a peak, maybe you're at a peak, but you're at a peak and you're like, well, what's coming next? How can you help me with that? Or, it could be a behavioral thing that people hire coaches for. We know there are life coaches. I'm an executive coach and a career coach, so it's a little bit different. But I still find myself coaching people about their lives, because if I'm working with a C-level person who's completely stressed out, their calendar goes from, 7 a.m. till 10 at night, we look at, and that's a life coaching thing. How can you change that or ameliorate that so that you actually do better at work? I just was working with a client the other day, and she said, there's one person in the meeting, and these meetings are supposed to be an hour. They're an hour and a half. Big clue I gave her. I said, how about you sit down, you make a document for every meeting. This topic, 5 minutes. That topic's 15 minutes. This topic's 7 minutes. And at the end of 60 minutes, the meeting is over. So she did it. She had an extra half hour. And she also complained to me that she had no time to read. I'm a big proponent of read to lead. If we don't read beyond what we're doing, we can't help people and we can't help ourselves. We can't have intelligent, meaningful conversations. And so she said to me, wow, we finished in 60 minutes. And I said, look, if you do that for every meeting, just imagine, because she said to me, I have no time to read the Journal or the Times or Harvard Business Review. And I said, well, now you have time. I said, because that's important too. Yeah. Just go, do.
One of the things that you and I talked about over the years, and we've known each other for a very long time, is your candid, I guess, hesitation to get involved with the stereotypical woman that's getting divorced, right? So now she's divorced. She hasn't worked in a long time. Unfortunately, the divorce laws are what they are. 30's the new, 20, 40's the new 30. Judges basically say, look, you have an obligation to help support yourself. Alimony is not a reward for putting up with your husband. It's time to rejoin society. What are some of the obstacles you see? And is it behavioral? Is it learned? Where those women are so hesitant to hire someone like you, an executive coach, and to get involved in investing in themselves? What's the issue that you see?
I think, it's interesting, Carolina, because why do I have so many male clients? I mean, I would say I have 70-30, 70% men and 30% women. Why is that? Because if a man is struggling with something in his career, his job, and he knows that if he works with someone that he could change some things, he has no problem writing a check. And of course, there's also that potential lack of balance in a relationship where the man controls the money, right? But we've always talked about, Carolina, they're generalizing is a big thing. But so you have women who come away from a divorce with money, but even those women, and so maybe it's not that they necessarily have to get a job per se, or they could be starting something new. They could be doing something interesting. They could be learning something new. Or maybe they're going to, there's so many boards, there's so many people. I thought this morning when I watched the news again about the food, inequities that we are facing right now. There's so many organizations that need help. And it's very important, especially for your clients who are getting divorced or are divorced, having a purpose-driven life. And we find that, I'm sure you'll agree, Carolina, many people, many, not all, I'm sure it's 50% at least, they get divorced at that 25-year mark, right? So the kids are out of the house, the husband has left. What are they doing to grow themselves? What are they doing? And what are they doing in the morning? And so they have a purpose beyond, I'm getting my hair done, I'm getting my nails done, and then I'm going to sit and I'm going to watch Oprah, or, with no disrespect to that, but that's not a purpose-driven life. You want to wake up every day, and you still do, Carolina, and I know you do, and I do, Furley. What am I doing? Your calendar, it's booked, right? Okay, so even today, I'm up, I'm at yoga, I'm here, I'm having dinner company, I'm going there, I'm doing this. And the same thing tomorrow, I'm visiting a friend, I'm working on a project. But the point is, I don't wake up in the morning and say, what am I going to do today? So again, going back, the women who get a big chunk of change, well, there's so much they can do to help people. Those that don't, well, you know what? Here's what I say. You got to do something. And as I love Shakespeare, I know people, I don't know if they're still allowed to study him in school anymore. No, I don't know if he's part of the history books, but Shakespeare always said that pride goeth before the fall. Okay. So put your pride aside. And if you have to go work and sell lipstick at Bloomingdale's, that's what you're going to do, because maybe you're going to meet somebody there. Okay. Maybe you're going to run into somebody. But in the meantime, I don't care if you're making $15 an hour or $18 an hour. You're getting out of the house, you're getting dressed, and you're doing something every single day. And that I speak to the women who perhaps are not getting a big settlement and maybe have very little. But what are you going to do? And again, even in this pandemic, there are people hiring. There are ways of connecting with people. And I'm sure, your audience, people are watching. So, they have 3 new connections right here. You have to be fearless and bold and reach out to people, even if they don't know you. What's the worst that can happen? They don't answer you. Okay, next.
Susan, there's something that I'd like to address, because one of the things that you said is permanence, right? We think that it's permanent. And then also Carolina said that, like a 25-year mark, basically what you think is going to be your happily ever after becomes not permanent anymore. And in our careers, we find ourselves, like dispensable, right? And so now we're going through very challenging times. By the way, I love what you said about creating the time blocking and also creating harmony in our lives as women. And men, of course. But my question to you now is, we're going through very challenging times. What I have also been seeing is that, people who are experienced, who are executives, maybe let go because they're quite expensive now. And now they're trying to hire people who are cheaper with less experience. Now, how do we create an edge and have a sustaining career in these very challenging times?
Okay. So that's a really good question. And and I know Carolina knows, it's all about staying relevant. we can look to the iconic figures who are still relevant. If we look at a Martha Stewart, I mean, she's on the cover of Vogue this month, I think, with her little mini skirt. I'm sure it's a little Photoshop, but still, who can stand up there in a mini skirt at that age and have that confidence? So she's someone who's continually, I mean, she was in jail. So she's continually reinvented herself. Warren Buffett, he's not done. When people say, well, what are you going to do when you retire? And I'm always like, well, retire from what? Gloria Steinem actually coined that phrase. She said, the first time she got married, I think she was 55 years old. So, but staying relevant means that when your boss says, okay, Furley, we're going to switch. I know you don't have a boss, you're your boss, but we're going to switch softwares now. We're going to a completely different platform. Or, years ago, it used to be, I'll never have a cell phone. I'll never have a computer. I'll never go on Instagram. I'll never go on Facebook. I'll never... Those kinds of people, they're not going to stay relevant. And so staying relevant, it helps when you have younger people who then become your reverse mentors and you become their reverse mentor. So that is very helpful. But a lot of these people, and I'm working with someone who actually she's going to be fine. She's 42, but she was let go. And she said to me yesterday, and they replaced me with someone far less expensive. I said, well, what do you expect? I mean, they do. They're 30,000 less than you. They do that 20 times in the company and 5-6 departments. It's millions of dollars in one, little office. So that's what's happening. And people need to really be prepared for that and think about, what is my next step? I know, Carolina, and you did it because you were passionless, and I shouldn't say passionless, but you had lost your passion for your job in nonprofit. I had lost my passion for the contract staffing firm. But like I said, everything was a nickel and a dime. I mean, I would write a 10-page RFP and they'd look at the last page and say to me, oh, we have another one. It's 5 cents less. And I was like, okay, take it, because I'm not going to do it, So, but people have to always, right now, if you're doing great in your job, think about where can you be, not only in a year, but in 5 years. Okay, because everything is changing.
One of the things that you are really underscoring, and which is why I think you came back to the Divorce Dynasty platform, is that these coffee clutches that people engage in are not enough. You could have all sorts of girlfriends, you could have all sorts of people that you're going to talk about. My husband did this, my wife did that, my boss did that, and it's advice over coffee, and it's usually not heading anywhere. The Divorce Dynasty platform brings together vetted professionals such as yourself that could complement the conversations you have with your mother, brother, sister, your best friend, right? But unless you have someone that's neutral, that's vetted, that's experienced, do you not agree that you're not going to get that plan you need in place? Because all you're doing is continuing, stirring the pot of what's not going right for you. I've watched you work with your clients. You've heard me on the phone with mine, and I've heard you on the phone with yours, without breaching any confidentiality, of course. But we offer solutions from an outside perspective, just like Furley offers solutions on the life insurance side from a non-biased, neutral perspective. Susan, how important is it that you think that people need to find the time and the money to engage a professional if they're truly serious about change?
Well, I do, and again, this isn't a pitch for me. It's a pitch for you listening to. It's the old, Albert Einstein definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So I've gone through probably 5, changes, 5 different things, businesses that I've started. And it's not easy and it's very scary, but if you're not scared, you're probably not growing. That's the problem with people. So they're very comfortable in the nook that they're in, and it's really not taking them to the next level. But I think here's the other thing, Furley and Carolina, is that people are living longer. Okay. It's really archaic to think that even if you're divorced at 55, oh, okay, well, I'll be fine. And, he gave me $1 million and I'm going to continue to go out and shop and do this and have dinner and I'll be fine. I'm not saying you won't be fine with $1 million or 500 or 300, but you're going to have to change some of your habits. Your life is changing. So then what can you do to transition? What can you do? And sorry, like I said, if you're not, maybe you don't have the education or maybe you haven't worked in a while, but there's so many places that you can go and people that you can speak to. not like you said, Caroline, and not the coffee clutch with your girl. That's great, but that's really becomes a blub fest for a lot of people. That doesn't change anything. And in terms of investing, there are, and sometimes it's a minuscule investment, and sometimes it's a greater investment. I've helped a lot of people transition from, let's say they were, I don't know, they could have been an accountant, but their passion was always, I don't know, candles. Now they started a candle company. But, and that takes money too, and that takes patience too, and that takes getting out there, and that takes investing in yourself. And that, I think, is so important. And I know you have men and women listening to this, but particularly for the women, as I said, because in many relationships, the men did, carry the strength and the bossiness around the money. But what are you going to do if you're going to live to be, let's just be conservative and say 85 or 90, and you're 55 now? Really?
Yeah.
What are you going to do every day?
Yeah.
How much coffee
Susan,
can you drink?
ask you something. Okay. It's very, very interesting how you're talking about all of this, investing on yourself. Of course, one thing that comes to mind all the time is that think, what will this investment help me become?
Mhm.
Basically that is it should not be seen as an expense, but what will it
It's not
help
an
me
expense. There's a
become?
difference.
Yeah,
An
okay.
expense is buy yourself.
Okay, hold on a second, Susan. Let's say, for example, I love your books. By the way, you have to get her book because it's very catchy. Dude, seriously, and yeah, I love that series that you have. It's very entertaining and it's very relevant. It's very easy to understand, and
Thank you.
it's very life transforming. Now, my question to you would be, say, for example, they're looking for a coach. Now that they meet you, right, what would you say is your style, or what makes you different from a sea of coaches out there who are saying
I'll
that
tell
they're
you.
the
I'll tell you.
guru?
I'll tell you what it is. And I tell people this before they hire me. I said, you know who Judge Judy is? Yeah, that's me. Okay. I don't take any guff from people if they don't do their work. I mean, I just had a thing with a guy who I introduced him actually to Paula Carolina. I introduced him to someone that we both know, and he didn't answer the email. The triplicate email that we were all on. And then I saw her because she's so conscientious and she's a managing partner of a very large accounting firm, a global firm. She reached out to him. I had to really restrain myself with him. I said, that's never going to happen again. That I introduce you to someone in a position of influence. You're a CFO and you need people to know that you're looking for a job. That's not going to happen on my watch again. So what differentiates me is it's tough love, right? So when people do well, great. I mean, I didn't beat the guy up, but I just said, that's never going to happen again. Because if it does, there aren't 3 strikes, there's only 2. So I think that's one of the things. And the other thing too, Furley, is my programs, and they're not programs. Okay. People talk about programs. I provide solutions. So I don't say to you, here's a 6-step program to fix whatever. I say, where's your pain point? Where's the gap of where you are and where you want to be? And what does it look like? So what's your hell? What hell are you going through now? What's your paradise? And how do you think you can get there? And a lot of times they don't know, but I might know. I should know. I do know. And that's what I work on, is solutions. So many coaches are like, oh, I have this program and here it is, and here's this module, and here's that. I mean, there's a time and a place for that. I'm working on something for a webinar now that's going to be global in Australia and the States. And that's fine for that. But for an individual that comes to me, I want to know who they are, what makes them tick, and how do I provide the solution that's really, I have so many Asian Indian men are a huge population in my coaching. Why? They're coming here. They want to make it like my father, a German immigrant, did. They will do anything to get ahead. And one of the things they do is they hire a coach. And in those particular guys, a lot of what the work that we do there is on executive presence and emotional intelligence. And it's not just that you're a great IT guy, but it's how do you lead your people? Do you have heart, or is it just head and smarts? Because it's got to be heart too. So
I will say,
Super hard.
Furley, more so than ever. And Susan, I know you and I've talked about this. In a world where we are this hating, this zooming, and we're constantly on camera, a lot of attention is played to how we present, right? Because you're not in a room of people, there's not a lot of distraction. The
Right.
camera's on you when you're talking. Eye contact's important, how you present, the background noise, all of that's critical. And I think that you have really revolutionized that concept, and your clients are now becoming better equipped to present, interview, and participate
Mhm.
because you've identified yet another gap in service, as who knew the pandemic would hit. So one of the
Right.
most amazing things about Susan Ascher is that she goes with the times. She goes with the times no matter where we are, no matter what's going on. Susan, you are a person that's going to get up in the morning and say, you know what, I'll take an hour, I'll feel bad, but by 12 o'clock, I'm going to be on this and I'm going to have a solution. And that's what you offer your clients. So I am
And
thrilled.
yeah, that's
I'm thrilled that
resiliency,
you're
right? And that's what we all three have. And that without that, you can't. And it's hard today. It's hard, but you got to do it, and you got to take care of yourself too. Yeah.
absolutely. So I want to thank you for coming back to the Divorce Dynasty
Thank you,
platform.
Carolina, for having me, and Furley.
And
Appreciate
just
it.
tell us,
I hope
Susan,
people
have
got
you.
something out.
tell us how, if someone wants to immediately call you, as they should, as they're sitting on their
Yeah.
couch in their pajamas this weekend saying, wait a minute, I think I'd like to improve my life. What's the best way to reach you, Susan?
Right. And let me, there's always, please, anyone listening out there who wants to have a discovery call, that's absolutely free. And that's however long it takes, not 3 hours, but, anywhere between 30 minutes and an hour, whatever you need to help you. And my phone number is really the best way to reach me. You can go on my website, susanascher.com, but my phone number is 973-919-8180. And, I have to take a call now.
Well, okay, before we go, can you give us three powerful tips that you can share with our audience who are looking through, who are going through a career transition right now? What do they need to do so that they can become more ready, mind, body, and spirit for a new career?
Mm-hmm. By the way, what percentage do you think of your audience is women?
Most
Oh,
of them.
I think we have a lot more men this time because the Divorce Dynasty platform has now
Oh,
expanded into the male sector. So I think that we are closer to the 50-50
okay.
distribution now.
Okay. So 3 tips. I mean, I think the most important thing is say what you mean and mean what you say. If you make your word impeccable, if you want people to trust you, then if you say you're going to be somewhere at 2 o'clock, you need to be there, because you can do that once or twice, but you can't. I always tell a story when I started in the business, when we didn't have faxes, we didn't have computers or anything else. And I set someone, Johnson & Johnson, up on an interview. And I said to the client, sorry, he's got so many interviews. If you want this guy, you're going to have to take my word that the snail mail, we didn't call it that then, but that's what it was, would get it there. And if you don't like him, never work with me again. And that was my word, right? To the ladies out there, I would say, think like a man, work like a dog, and act like a lady. And ladies, we really need to remember that. We're losing that a little bit. And then the final thing is to just show up. Just show up. Show up wherever you can, whether you're in transition, whether you're networking, whatever it is, show up, because that's how you learn and that's how you experience. And I hope that's helpful. I hope those are helpful
Yeah,
tips.
that's
Fantastic.
fantastic. Oh my gosh, thank you so very much, Susan. Carolina,
Well,
any last word before we go?
I'm just going to say that similar to the appearance on Coffee with Marcy or Wake Up with Marcy this morning, and these shows we bring to you every Saturday, remember that it's the power of your network. You're not alone. You need to make the call. You need to get the right people around you. Do not try to figure this out at home. All of us are well versed in what we do, and coming together, my God, can we help change your life?
Definitely.
Right.
Thank you so very much. Listen, you need to invest on yourself, because what somebody, a seasoned coach such as Susan, could do for you would actually be a life-changing decision and investment. So don't skimp on that, because what you can create as a result of your adversity right now, or whatever loss, career, job, loss that you have, that you're going through right now, that is just going to be part of your past, and you're ready to turn a whole new leaf. But you will never know what new possibilities and bright beginnings await you in this life that we're
Very well
facing.
said, Carly.
Yes, yes. So thank you very much. So choose to be resilient. Remember, okay, whether it be in
You have that choice, right?
yeah, right. Whether it be in your career, in your relationships, whether you're going through the divorce or even you're going through a slump in your life, just go out there and show up. Okay, that is our show for
Thank
today. Thank you
you.
so very much, Susan
Thank you,
Asher. You are
ladies.
phenomenal as always. Make sure you reach out to her. Please, please avail of her complimentary discovery call. My goodness, you'll never know what she's going to tell you. And I'm telling you, be ready for some tough love. All right, Carolina, thank you so very, very
Thank
much.
Got it.
you.
Always shining your light
Thanks.
on the divorce dynasty and everywhere. Okay, until next
Happy
time, this is
Saturday.
Shirley Almonte and
Thank you.
Carolina Renward on behalf of the divorce dynasty. Until next time, show out there and shine. Okay, bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.